I had to sum up the space in one word, that one word would be...
A delight.
Huge.
Accessible.
I'm thinking something like rich.
Opportunity.
Far-reaching. That's a hybrid word. Does that count?
A feast.
Space.
exhilarating.
We're celebrating a year of great art, a year of full-length performances, new commissions and fresh ideas from the UK's arts and culture scene. The Space has been up and running since May 2012, changing the way you can enjoy the arts.
Perfect.
There's new dance, film, theatre, performances and much more, live, free and on demand.
When I arrive at the Space, when I go to it, I'm thrilled by the amount of content that there is there. I feel I need more hours in the day to be able to absorb that.
And 1.5 million of you have enjoyed what's on offer.
Because you miss 99.9% of everything that happens in the arts, so it's good to be able to catch up on things at your own leisure.
Established British artists feature alongside fresh, emerging talent. You can create your own version of the York mystery plays, choosing from multiple camera angles. And there's exclusive access into John Peel's private record collection.
John's record collection is one of the most important record collections in the world, and the Space Project is actually allowing people to just have a small insight into what's there.
Britain's artists came up with ambitious and creative works to engage, provoke and delight.
Bye-bye. Bye. I'm going to work. See you later. Bye. Come on, Harry. Come on. Bye, Mummy. You going to do some painting? Yeah. Get inside.
Renowned choreographer Russell Maliphant took his sellout show, The Rodin Project, and adapted it for the Space, creating a beautiful work of art in its own right.
It allowed me to make Erebus. It allowed me to work on a collaboration with great people, which we'd been hoping to happen, but didn't have the resources and the funds to do that. So the Space gave us the opportunity.
We showcased highlights from the London 2012 Festival and the Cultural Olympiad during a spectacular time for the UK's vibrant arts scene. The Space matched that extraordinary creativity with digital experimentation.
What could be really thrilling about the Space, from the work we've seen it produce so far, is the way it can help the arts to become digital innovators. A lot of the arts tend to be digital laggards, you know, they're not using the resource of the internet as well or as brilliantly or as creatively as they might, both for creating new work and for reaching and engaging and enriching audiences, new audiences. So the Space has got a really huge potential.
Angry stink of a muddy guts, pink or white or black with the hairy fat belly. Let the pig out, Eddie, let the beats get smelly.
Lyrical gymnasts Tung Fu took their improvised poetry night and adapted it for the digital world.
Splash, get the snare drum cracking. Push the beat across the bar, then kick the sucker back in. Let the pig out. Ah!
That helped spread the word about this offbeat art form.
Since doing the Space Project, we've seen a significant sort of increase in our audiences, and we've had opportunities to come to the Albert Hall and do this gig. The Space has definitely helped us sort of grow our profile.
I think it's a fantastic way for people to see what they might be drawn to, you know, what might appeal to them. Because you can sit in front of the computer for an hour and watch several pieces and think, wow, that one is fantastic, I really want to go and see that.
The Birmingham Opera Company sold out a performance of the Helicopter String Quartet, part of its production of Stockhausen's Mittwoch. But thousands more got the chance to see the UK premiere thanks to a live stream on the Space, catching it as it happened or later on demand. And that was just one of the many live performances the Space brought to your TV, laptop, tablet and smartphone.
Let's have it easy. Lock the door.
of course, particularly to those all over the globe watching because of thespace.org.
And in January, the Space hosted a broadcast from backstage at the Royal Opera House in London's Covent Garden. Presented by Kirsty Walk and me, Susie Klein, Royal Opera Live featured unprecedented behind-the-scenes access to rehearsals, interviews and insights during more than 10 hours of uninterrupted programming.
Nobody was precious about us seeing them maybe slightly not quite getting it right. Everybody was so anxious to show us what they did. It was wonderful. We got a real sense, we were looking at a maquette of a new performance. We were seeing somebody going through their Russian. We were seeing, people doing fight sequences. We were seeing senior opera singers go through their paces. It was something really rather special.
Fly Q1 and projection Q10. Go, LXQ 202.5 and Smoke Burst, go.
It culminated in a world first, a performance where the viewer could choose between sampling the backstage action, watching the conductor in the orchestra pit, or the drama on stage.
The Space had several cameras available. We were performing Act 3 of Wagner's Die Walküre, and it was incredible because that night there was as much drama backstage as there was on stage. Things were potentially going to go very, very wrong, but in the end, all was saved. The fact that this was captured on film and people can see the real workings of backstage during a performance, I think is important and unique.
That technical innovation is at the heart of the Space, putting you in control, whether that's remixing your own version of Holst's The Planets, reading Will Self's reimagined literary essay for the digital age, or playing with a new soundtrack to a once silent film, commissioned from the new Radiophonic Workshop, a sound artists collective founded by the Space. Vortex Jazz Club developed a dynamic player which offered you the option to pause a performance and put the music and the musicians into context.
It allowed for innovation. It allowed us to think about the way that we would do it differently than you would do in many other circumstances if you were putting it online, if we were just going to go through the usual avenues.
As well as building digital skills in the arts sector, the Space encourages artists to try new things, backed by a unique partnership between Arts Council England and the BBC.
It has magical powers. Take it. Take it.
That helped first-time television director Dawn Walton make the transition from stage to screen.
Every single day was a learning experience, which I very much enjoy and loved and ate up and grabbed hold of and just got as much as I could. And I hope improved throughout the whole process. And I feel very confident about approaching film now, which I didn't before the Space, to be truthful. I didn't know if I could do it. Now I feel I definitely can, and I'm waiting, I can't wait for the next time to do it again.
Art from across the UK is championed. From Macropolis in Belfast,
now it's time to try it on.
New music from the northeast,
back into the sun, pushing buttons
to a country boy's struggle, the wannabe rapper from Cornwall.
Now the race is on.
And of course, the Space is available wherever you are in the world, whether it's New Zealand, New York or Newport. The Space brings a worldwide audience to the British art scene, like the Globe Theatre's ambitious season to stage all of Shakespeare's 37 plays, each in a different language. Without the Space, the plays wouldn't even have been filmed, let alone available everywhere in the world.
We got some data back about who was watching it, and we found that lots of people were watching the films of the Globe to Globe shows in Istanbul and in Lahore and in Mexico City. And it's really thrilling to think that you didn't have to be here on Bankside to take part in that festival.
space brings layers of context to help you get the most out of the ever-expanding arts scene.
On his very first film, Hitchcock signs his name. This is a very bold thing to do, and everything about the film, how it's structured, how it's written, how it's shot, is extremely confident.
Expert advice features alongside gems from the archive, while forgotten footage from the vaults of the BFI, Arts Council and BBC is presented in refreshing ways. The Space teamed up with the BBC's multi-award-winning arts strand to check into the newly commissioned Arena Hotel. This groundbreaking online project allows the viewer to delve into Arena's 35-year history.
As I'm speaking, it becomes archive as the words are leaving my mouth and being recorded on the camera. And I think if you put the archive together with the internet, then you have the potential for a kind of virtual time travel, and certainly a time travel in the mind, and which it offers up all sorts of extraordinary possibilities.
So what happens now? The Space has connected a wider audience to the arts and has captured a unique collection of UK culture.
What the Space allows and offers is that kind of extra dimension to the arts.
It adds to the whole mix of what's online.
It was huge for us to get that commission. We were sat next to the Globe,
You might be able to watch it through a smartphone, or you might be able to watch things on a computer in an internet cafe anywhere in the world, and that's huge.
This is the Space.
Hundreds of hours of original work, direct from some of the nation's greatest artists and arts organisations, will remain free and on demand for you to enjoy as the Space Collection.
To be, to look, to really see, to share, to live, to question, to gift, to make, to forge, to gorge, to taste, to chase, to find the space. The space.